This commentary is on the idea of happiness, written by Maurice Nicoll and read by Dennis Massa. On the idea of happiness. Why do some of you think that what matters is whether you are what you call happy or not? Why do you place your aim in that? That is not the point. It is not that the work is to make you unhappy, but that work on yourself will change your idea of what it is to be happy. It is an undoubted fact that if you are in the work and have worked on yourself, after a certain time you will find inevitably that what made you happy before is not what makes you happy any longer. When you become a little more interior through self-observation, your hitherto forms of happiness become undermined, and you begin to see that they were not real forms of happiness, but having your own way. What matters is not whether you are happy or not, but whether you are at peace with yourself. What used to make you happy will not continue to make you happy. Mechanical eyes that belong to the idea of being happy are not necessarily the eyes that you ought to follow in the work. In fact, you will find that they make you unhappy because if you compare your present state of increased consciousness with your former state, you will say, I used to be so happy, but since I met the work, I do not feel nearly so happy. Of course, these so-called happy eyes belong to some of the illusions that characterize false personality. For example, someone says, he always used to be so nice to me. Whenever I wanted a new hat, he used to buy me one. Whenever I was sad, he took me out to dinner. Now, I will leave the subject of being happy and talk about something connected closely with it. Change of being. Very superficial, trivial people ought not to be in the work because they will always sing this song. I used to be so happy. This is a false idea. In fact, it is an illusion about what used to be, even if he did not get you a new hat and take you out to dinner. Now, your happiness is, by derivation, what happens to you. This means that it has nothing to do with you, but with how external life behaves towards you. You are happy when things go according to your wish, and unhappy when things do not go according to your wish. If you are like most mechanical people, you are very unhappy when happenings go wrong. We all think what happens to us should be good, even without earning it. Now, the world of what happens to us is a very dangerous world to trust because things may happen that do not make you happy at all. For this reason, Mr. Uspensky, when talking about this word happy, said that he disliked the word, that it was a word of no destiny or meaning when people said, all I want is to be happy. If you understand this work, you will see that happiness does not depend entirely on whether things go for or against you. If that is your situation, you are entirely dependent on the events of external life. This work is to make something in you independent of what happens to you. How can you think that inner peace depends on what happens to you? A machine will behave in that way, but not a man or woman who is trying to become more conscious and tries to meet all daily events, whatever may be their complexion. Therefore, you see the work is about making some point in yourself, more or less independent of the happenings of daily life and the apparatus of this work, and all that it teaches you about self-observation, self-remembering, and so on, has to do with making a point in you distinct from the machine that is governed by happenings. I like very much to see a person with whom things have gone a bit wrong still maintaining a feeling of the work. A person whose feeling does not depend on what happens to him or her externally, but who has another center of gravity which does not respond to the ups and downs of life. Now, there is a certain happiness that can take place of mechanical happiness, which depends on whether you can meet the unhappy situation and not identify. Here the quality of happiness depends and becomes not an external thing dependent on what other people say or do to us, but something independent of external life. This is the only path where we can get real light from higher centers which seek to make us nourish and create in ourselves something a little bit independent of external circumstances. A person who has begun to find this can distinguish between internal happiness and external happiness. And the happiness that is found is not external, but belongs to inner peace or inner stability. So we are then governed by what's above and not by what's below.